and welcome back to TopsWeb. In this video we're going to go over writing settings in the WordPress blog. This is for WordPress 3. To get to the writing settings from your dashboard, log into the administrative console, go to Settings, and then click Writing. And here you have various settings that you can post to your blog with. Let's start at the top. The size of the post box is 20 lines. Now what this is, and I'm going to jump out and take you to the Add New. So 20 lines, remember that, is when you're adding a post, it's how many lines right here will be visible. I personally think that's not enough. Once you start writing a post, I personally like about 50 lines. Next is formatting. We can convert emoticons like the smiley face, the text smiley face, the text equivalent of the, I guess you'd call the Slurpee face. I'm not sure what it's called, with the tongue hanging out. And what it'll do is convert that to a little yellow smiley face. The graphical representation of that. Next we have the checkbox of whether WordPress should correct invalidly nested HTML automatically. Now what this is, if you're not very good at HTML, I would suggest turning this on. If you write a lot of HTML directly as HTML in WordPress, you're probably not going to have this checked, but by default I would have this checked. And what it'll do is, if you've incorrectly placed a tag, I guess the best way, let's say the break tag, and you put greater than, BR, less than symbols, it'll convert this to XHTML and put it to its proper method, like less than, BR, space, slash, and then close the greater than sign. So it'll switch everything to proper XHTML. Next is the default post category. When you make a post, if you don't assign it a category, it will assign it for you. And if I don't have any categories built yet, but if I did, I could say call one general, and it would go directly to the general post category. Next we have the default post format. This is relatively new in WordPress 3. I think it came out in 3.1. And this is very dependent on your theme. Let me start by saying that your theme can support it or may not support it. At this moment I can't tell you whether your drop down only lists the ones that are supported. I would think that it is, because I think there are about a dozen more, so maybe it does show you just what's available. A standard post is basically that. It's the title at the top, I believe it's the date, author, content, comments at the bottom. It's the plain Jane. 9 times out of 10, this is what you'll be using. It's the de facto for a blog. Next is a side. This is typically, again, it's all in your theme, because I should preface by saying post formats require the theme to determine how it will lay out. These are just sort of the generic standard, I guess. So a side is typically styled without a title at the top, and it starts with just essentially notes. Like I think the codex at WordPress calls it like a Facebook note page. Not that I've ever really used that, but hopefully that makes sense to you. Next is link. It's just that. If you're just going to post a list of links, then this would be the best method of doing that. Next would be gallery. This would be a list of images. This gets used quite a bit. I know I've used a lot of plugins for galleries, so this was a really good add-on to that. Now, I have to preface by saying it is not as user-friendly as the plugins. I have used this, and you have to put, I believe it's a short code. It's been a while since I used it, but it's a short code, and then you put in the number of the image within the image gallery. So each image is given a number, and you would separate that by commas, and it would show up on this page with a short code. So it's not complicated, but it's a little more advanced than, say, a general user would typically want to deal with. And the reason I say this is that when you go into the image gallery, it doesn't tell you right off the bat what the number of the image is. You kind of got to hover over it and look at the URL. So not great, but it is effective, and it's just very basic, very, very basic. How's that for description? Status. Think of this like Twitter. I guess it would be a lot like that. Just giving, if your blog is just to give a, here's what I'm doing now. Quote is if you're going to do block quotes of, let's say, authors, famous people, do a list of quotes, then you would use this type of format page. Now, image is a little different than gallery, as gallery would be a whole selection of pictures. Image would be one image only per post. So you would put that in there. I believe it gives you where you can put the title and that sort of thing of it. Again, not one that I've used. I'm just really comfortable with the standard, because you can do, quite frankly, you could do all these others with the standard. But that's what is great about this, is that you could get a theme and say, I want to do different types of posts, and this page will be an image, or will be a gallery. This page will be my blog. This page will be my quotes, and you can change how each of them look, as opposed to if everything was standard, they would all fall in the same format. So it does have its advantages. And next we have the default link category. If you do post a link and you don't assign it a category, then it will do it by default to one. The default for WordPress is blog row. Next we have the Press This. It's a add-on for your browser that allows you to clip things from the web and add them to a post essentially before you publish it. I've personally prefer something like Evernote. Not that this is bad. I just try to keep everything off. I try to keep things when I post it all completely done, without cluttering up the site a little bit. Other people may have a different viewpoint on that, so I would say try it at your own regard. Try to see if you like it. If you don't, try something else. It certainly couldn't hurt. Next is post via email. What you can do with this is a very handy feature, although I would say it's getting a little outdated. It does require a POP3 access, which as time goes on, POP3 is becoming more of a scarcity. But what it will do is that you can set up the mail server and login name and password, and when you email WordPress with the email that you've created here, it will post automatically to the blog. So it's really quite handy that way. I've used it in the past, and it does really well. It even did the images, and I'm not sure if it adds it to the gallery or how it put it in there, but it certainly carried everything over. And sometimes you'd have to go in and kind of reformat things a little bit. I will tell you, you're giving yourself a slight vulnerability there, as people kind of just troll for email addresses, I suppose, for spam. So it will put whatever, whoever emails that, it will put it up there. So don't think it's immune to anything. So the Viagra stuff gets posted to your site. That's why. And next we have remote publishing. Remote publishing is a great feature. It allows you to use client-based software to post to your blog. By client-based, I mean such as Microsoft Windows has a program called Microsoft Live Writer that you can post directly to blogs. You can also use many of these as word processors. Microsoft Word has a feature that you can post directly to a blog. Typically, this XML RPC protocol, that is the most common one. A little less known is the Atom Publishing Protocol. That is a protocol very similar to the XML RPC that Google had produced. Some programs use it. I'm not aware of any off the top of my head other than Google products. I know that the Google Docs at one time allowed you to produce something right in Google Docs and then push it using the Atom Publishing Protocol. I'm not sure that that's still available. Other software that uses the XML RPC, there's a program called Cumana that is available for Windows and Mac. On Mac, there's one called Blogo. Linux, there's a few. Drivel, I've used that. It's pretty nice. Gscribble is really good. QTM, I think, is the name of another one. There are browser-based ones. The one I like is Scribefire. It's a Firefox add-on, and you can post directly from Firefox even if it's offline. Or you can write in Firefox offline and then post it later. So it works like an application. There are also some mobile devices as well. There is look for a program just simply for Android called WordPress for Android. For iPhone, it's called WordPress for iPhone. BlackBerry, WordPress for BlackBerry. They're pretty easy to remember that way. If anything else, just search in your app store for this type of feature. Moving on. Update services essentially just pings a server to let it know that you have updated your WordPress blog. I'm going to tell you the default for WordPress blog. You cannot beat it. It pings a site. I've been indexed in 15 minutes. So make sure you have this turned on, and you will definitely, if you're doing all the right things, you should see great results. Especially to me, this is one of the things that sets WordPress apart from the rest. If you're building a site that needs traffic, you cannot beat WordPress. You can't. You just can't. None of the others even compare. That simple. Okay, after that, hit Save Changes. And that will conclude this video for writing settings. Thank you.